Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Galina and today I'm interviewing Shelia Butler from Successful Women Talk. So, Successful Women Talk is a web show for small business owners, and Shelia had a lot of amazing women on the show. I strongly recommend you to check her website that you will see notes below this interview. We talk about Sheila's background, power of technology, behind the scenes of her show, and systems in your life. We also talk about great female entrepreneurs. So enjoy the interview and see you in the comments.
Well, listen, I watched a few interviews on Successful Women Talk. It's great. I love that.
Thank you.
So I'm very excited to have you here. And it's like watching a video with you, but talking to you, you know?
It's kind of funny, isn't it? So, technology is an awesome thing.
Right, yeah. So I wanted to ask you about the Successful Women Talk and how did you come up with the idea of starting it?
Yeah, I previously owned a business, an offline business. It was a furniture and decor business, and I sold that about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years. And when I sold my partnership, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But I always knew that I was very inspired by women and other women's stories. And when you look for a mentor or something online about successful women or women entrepreneurs, or you look up the term entrepreneur, it's usually something that comes up about a man. And that's awesome, except for the fact that there are so many women out there crushing it, and we just don't see their stories as much. And I think that's because we as women don't toot our horns as much as others, or maybe they're just not highlighted. I don't know what it is. But in general, my goal is to share stories of other successful women, hopefully to inspire someone out there, even if it's just one person, to say, hey, I have a gift, I have a skill set, I too can do that. So that's sort of my whole mission behind the show.
Awesome. And what was your offline business again?
So the name of the company was Aiden Gray Homes. It was a wholesale furniture and home decor business.
Okay, and I think I read something about baby clothes or something like that.
I also, right after I sold the other company, I decided I was going to start a new company, and I was just in the mindset of, okay, I've already done this. It was successful. I'll do something very similar, even though I'm not a designer. And I started that, and I've recently decided I'm going to close it because it is not my passion. I love helping small business owners. My gift, I've been doing consulting for quite some time now, and my gift is going in to somebody who has a business that's already successful, but it's extremely chaotic. Maybe they're not as systemized and organized as they need to be. And I love going in and seeing it from a different point of view and helping them streamline, systemize, and organize their business. And that's where my gifts lie. So that's sort of what I do now.
Yeah, nice. So I read about structure and systems on one of your pages, and it was like highlighted and everything. So I figured that it means a lot to you. And could you please tell more about that?
Yeah, I find that people, sometimes especially creative people, the word systemize or systems or processes, it scares them. And, it really doesn't have to be scary. It's just a way of saying, hey, if you have something that you do with more than 2 steps, you should put a system around it. And all that allows you to do is free up your time. It actually gives you more flexibility. So instead of flying by the seat of your pants and having this going on over here and this going on over here, it allows you to go, okay, every time we receive a lead from a customer, we're going to follow up this way. Every time we email a customer, we're going to have this template and we're going to do it this way. That way it's consistent. The customer or your client knows what to expect. Your employees know what to expect. It just sort of streamlines everything so you're more efficient, saving money, you lose less clients that way. So it's just kind of a general way of organizing.
Yeah, so you said creative people find it pretty hard to get organized.
It's not that they're not organized, it's that they're so creative and they're a genius and they're so talented. But when you think about sometimes for a right brain person to put structure around things, it sort of scares them a little. So, and sometimes I try to approach it as, it's really going to make your time more flexible. It's about creating a schedule. It's about creating templates. It's about doing the mundane things and just creating a task or a template around it. And then it makes it easier. It's like when your to-do list is crazy, you feel really overwhelmed. It's kind of the same thing in your business. Sometimes we're running on a hamster wheel and we just need to step off and organize a few things. And it will change your business. I've seen it in so many people.
So is it like a special software for computer software, or how does it work?
It could be software. There are a lot of applications out there, but it could be something as simple as organizing your desk. It could be something as simple as creating filters and organizing your inbox, because email can be so overwhelming. I have a lot of people, I help a lot of product-based businesses, and a lot of them think, my warehouse is busy and not organized and I need a computer system for that. And what I found is you really don't. You can really go in and systemize things very inexpensively and just put some things in place. It could be systems, it could be a computer software, but it doesn't have to be. It could be very simple. And the more simple you make it, the more people will do it and the easier it becomes.
Okay. Yeah, because, I write a lot of notes all the time, and then I find it really hard to organize. And, I actually use just Google Gmail. I mean, I just have like 300 drafts, I think. And it gets really, really difficult. But, I think I need to use something more professional. I don't know.
And Gmail, I love Gmail. I think Gmail is a great resource. It's just setting it up right. So, I don't know if you've read Getting It Done. I think that's the name of it. But it's a book about, what's that?
Getting Things Done?
Getting Things Done. Love that book. And I love parts of it. I don't love all of it. The theory is really good. Get it out of your head, put it on paper, and systemize it. So if you looked at my Gmail inbox, I have lots of files or filters, whatever you want to call them. And I have, when stuff comes in, like I have a lot of newsletters that I subscribe to, they automatically go to a read box. Any courses that I've taken, I have those set up. So the emails that come in, they automatically go to that box. So my inbox isn't crazy. So what's in my inbox are things that I really need to look at. And then, I don't check email all day long. I was on site the other day with a client, and she's terribly gifted. I mean, she's just talented beyond words. She's the most unorganized person I've ever been around. And all day long, every few minutes, she was answering an email or checking a text message, and I was like, just stop. This is why you feel overwhelmed. You don't have to respond to that email right that second. And she's like, what if they need me? I'm like, you will. But put it on your schedule. Don't let it interrupt you, because once you're distracted, it's really hard. It takes 10, 15 minutes to really get back in the flow of things.
Wow. Yeah. We should try that.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you about, how do you find women that you would interview, that you would like to interview?
I'm a bit of a people person. So I started on Twitter, I don't know, a couple of years ago. Didn't have a clue what Twitter was when I first started and really didn't understand it. But I really do a lot of my connecting on Twitter. And I've found that a lot of people that I've had on the show are either people that I admire and I have followed, or they're people that I'm just interested in their story and feel like it needs to be shared more. And I just reach out to them, try to develop a relationship, not a false relationship, a true relationship. I already admire them. And so I've already followed their work, and I just ask. So part of the biggest hurdle is just asking. Are you going to get some no's? Maybe, and quite possibly so. But that's okay. It doesn't mean it's always a no, and it doesn't mean you have to stop or that you failed. It means go to the next thing, but just don't be afraid to ask.
Well, I can't believe you get no, to be honest with you.
I haven't gotten many. Well, thank you. I haven't gotten many no's. I did get a no, one flat out no. And then I did get a lady that said she couldn't do it. She's actually a professor at Harvard, but she gave me 3, because she's working on a research study, but she gave me 3 names of people that cover the same topics and suggested I reach out to them. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
Great. Well, I wanted to focus on covering the stories of women who belong to, who are minorities or ethnic or, maybe immigrants, And so I wanted to cover these stories. And I actually found a few women on your website that are, well, I don't know, I'm not sure about their status, right? But could you please tell us a bit more about women who started up from zero in another country?
Wow.
Like Farnoosh, maybe?
I don't know if I really, when I say another country, I like to interview a few people in Canada, but I almost consider that sort of like the United States, but although they may not like that. But I did interview a lady by the name of Basma Hamid, and I don't know if you've read her story, but
I watched her interview.
Great story. She turned something very tragic into something successful, and instead of focusing on the negative, she focused on the positive. And she was burned as a young child. I think she was maybe 2 or 4, severely burned on the face. And she was, she was told she would never get any better. She'd gone through a lot of cosmetic surgeries. And finally, when she was, I think, maybe 16, 17, the plastic surgeon said, the money that you were going to spend on this next surgery, take it, go take a vacation. It's not going to get any better. And she was pretty depressed. And she said she started practicing. She read somewhere about tattooing for eyebrows. And so she thought, well, if you could do it for an eyebrow, why can't you do it for your skin? So she started practicing on herself, went finally and learned the art of tattooing for cosmetically, and she now has a business, and she does that, and she helps so many people, and such an inspiring story. She took something that could have kept someone down, and she was extremely depressed, but she turned that into something positive. So those are the types of stories that I really love sharing and learning about.
Yeah, me too. What I loved about her is that she came up with a solution that no expert could even think about. And I just love that, and just somebody from another field. Well, I don't know if she studied medicine, but she learned the tattoo art, and so it's so inspiring because you can learn something very fast.
I agree.
And also offer a better solution than people who have been in this field for a long time.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like you said, it's thinking outside the box. So she's someone outside of that industry that said, hey, I'm going to apply it to this. And so I love that. And I think that makes a big difference. Sometimes you're in the middle of it. When you're inside the frame, you can't see the whole picture. So she saw it from a different perspective. Another lady that I recently interviewed was Katya Berry, and she's from Germany. And she helps teach expat women how to network and build businesses in the countries that they're in. And that was an excellent interview. She's extremely smart, talented. I don't know if you've seen that interview, but she's a neat story as well.
Yeah, very cool. And I also like the story of Farnoosh, I think.
Farnoosh Brock. Yeah, she's awesome. She's a rock star.
Yeah, she's incredible. I mean, she speaks very fast, and
yeah, she does. And her story is interesting because she actually worked for a Fortune 500 company and had what most people would consider the American dream. She had a great company, 6-figure job, was traveling, doing all those fun things, but it wasn't her passion. And finally, she said, "I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore." And yes, she prepared for that as far as savings, etc. But she said, I'm going to do something different, and she did. She was an engineer, and now she does something totally different, and she helps other people do the same. So that's another terrific story.
That's pretty incredible because a lot of women, I see a couple of women who are not native English speakers. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when I was listening to one of your interviews, you said, well, I was kind of... I was afraid to start a show because I have a Southern accent.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? Oh my God. I mean, I'm not even a native English speaker, And
it is true. It's funny. I guess we are our own worst critics, but I mean, it really is true. I've done very well for myself. I've worked really hard. I put myself out there, but I was really afraid of getting on camera and putting myself out there as far as an interview show goes because of my Southern accent. And I know it plays a role in kind of diffusing. I used it in my other company to help diffuse clients when they were upset. When you just listen and you have that tone, it works with them. But I kind of saw it as, okay, I think people are going to think maybe I'm uneducated because of my Southern accent, and I don't want that to sound offensive. But we have our own worst critics, and that was mine.
Exactly. Which, I mean, it sounds so funny, and it just made me realize that, well, I mean, if you are worried about that, then it's totally fine for me to worry about something similar, so it doesn't have to stop us from doing anything.
Absolutely. And it's trying, just putting yourself out there. I love that about you, and I love that about others that are going, okay, yes, maybe I'm not a model. I don't have the best voice. I'm never going to be a speech coach, but I can influence people because I have a knowledge base, and I just need to share it and not be afraid to put myself out there. It's exactly what you're doing.
Yay!
Yay us!
Yay us! Well, and it's also, I mean, you have a lot of people live in Texas, right? So they can actually relate to you a lot more than to others. I don't know how it works in the U.S., to be honest with you.
Yeah, Texas is big, and they say everything's big in Texas. But but I have found that it transcends across every culture. I've not had a problem. I sometimes talk a little bit fast, Southern accent, but other than that, it hasn't been an issue. I think it's been well received, and I think it's not me. The people aren't focusing on me. It's focusing on the guest and the message that we're presenting, and that's what they don't care really about me, which is great. We're trying to highlight the guest. That's, I think, the important takeaway.
It is. So also about the being your own critic and stuff like that. Well, I noticed recently that when I need to do something and I just need to kind of keep working on that, I find that I have so much BS that's stopping me from doing that. So it's actually, I've noticed that a lot of things are just in my head. So I just need to find somebody who covers this topic, right? And says, oh, well, that's perfectly fine to feel that way. Everybody does. And then you move on, so it's like, I think being, starting a business, you kind of need a therapist or something like that, Is that what a coach does?
Yeah, I think a coach can do some of that as well because it's tough starting a business, and you do doubt yourself. You have all the little things you doubt about yourself. Am I smart enough? Am I on the right path? Am I going to make a fool of myself? Are people going to buy what I have to sell? So I think we all doubt ourselves. But at some point, you just have to get out of your own way and just try it. And maybe it won't work. I mean, like Me Giant, my children's line, it was not as successful as I hoped it would be, but I don't consider that a failure. I consider that, hey, that's a stepping stone to where I am today. It made me realize and become more hyper-focused on what I want to do. So, sometimes we just really have to get out of our own way and realize that it's okay to learn. It's okay. You're not, you don't need to know everything. Don't put off the perception that you know everything. Just, you're there to learn. And when you have a speed bump, go over it. Change routes, whatever it takes, but continue to go and get out of your own way.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about business plans then? Because it requires you to kind of think ahead, and in some cases, I don't think it's really possible, right?
Business. I have an MBA. I went to business school, so I understand the importance of a business plan. And with my first business, we had to create a business plan because we tried to get a small business loan from the SBA. We didn't get one. And that's okay. We still had a business plan, but it sort of went on a shelf, and we knew what our vision was. So, some people aren't really wanting to develop a full plan, like a binder of everything, but you do need a vision. And, I think Cameron Herold describes it as a painted picture. So where do you want to see your company in 3 years? What is that? Write all of that down. What is the painted picture of what you want to be, where you want to go, and then figure out how to get there. You have to know, you have to have a plan of where you're going. It doesn't mean you have to have a 150-page document, but you do need something that guides you so that you can do all the right things and right steps to get there. So whether that's a picture, whether that's a binder, whatever that plan is, you do need something, a vision of where you want to go.
Yeah, well, okay, so how about when you write a business plan, right? So do you have a chance to ask your potential clients while you're writing it? Is it like necessary to do this when you write this business plan, or is it just completely based on assumptions?
It depends. I think it kind of depends upon what you're writing the business plan for. If you're writing the business plan for a bank or for the SBA to try and get some type of governmental loan for your business, it's going to be structured and much different than if you're just trying to come up with a personal plan of where you want to go. I think if you're a solo business and you're just trying to think of where you want to go and trying to figure out who your ideal client is, surveying your clients is not a bad idea. I mean, you need to know exactly who it is you're trying to service and what it is that they need. So I think going out and asking questions, peer questions, I think all of those things are good, but it depends on if you're trying to do something formal or something more for a solo type business.
So what do you prefer?
I don't have a written business plan. I know visually, I've done some mind mapping, so I know where I want to go, but I don't have a document that I could pull off the shelf with all the table of contents that says I'm going to do this, this, and this. I know what my painted picture is. I know where I want to take my company and my brand. And I have surveyed. I've worked really hard to figure out who my ideal client is. It took me quite some time to get there. But now I know. So I do think it's important to have a vision of where you're going. Something on paper. It doesn't have to be formal, but something saying, okay, here's where I want to be. Here are the steps. So now that I know this is my painted picture, how am I going to get there? So here are all of my little steps of getting there.
You know, also, I think that technology and everything, I mean, it just changes so fast, and it's so hard to predict anything. So it's
True.
just, I don't know, like adapting every day, you know.
And I think that's the nice thing about being a small business. You can pivot. Yeah. And I think knowing when to pivot, listening is key. A lot of people talk more than they listen. So if you listen to the market, you listen to your clients, and you pivot as needed, then you'll be more successful. When you get into really big companies that have big structures, it's really hard for them to listen and pivot as much. That's the great thing about being a small business. You can pivot as needed.
Absolutely. So you work fully online right now?
I sort of do both. My talk show is fully online. I do some online consulting as well, but I do have some offline clients also. So I do go I personally actually do one-on-one coaching online and off. So I do have some local clients. I do have some clients up in New York that I do travel there and help them as well. So I do a little of both.
Cool. So how did you get your first coaching clients?
My first coaching client was actually a company that I'd known forever. So the company's name's Bungalow 5, and they are a furniture home decor business as well. And I had known them when I had my first business. So we had been friends, and they saw the structure that I'd set up in my first business. And years ago, I went out and helped them with some software, just as a friend. So we used the software in my company. They were friends getting started with it, so I went and helped them. And then as soon as I sold my other business and my non-compete was up, the big thing was, hey, can you help us? We want what you did there. We want structure. We're a great company. We have great products, but we're terribly unorganized. And it's because when you're in the middle of it, you don't see it. So the first time I went in and talked with them, I watched their process of an order coming in, and I think it was like 20-something steps for an order coming in the door to get it out to the warehouse. And we narrowed that down to about 6 steps. Because when you're doing it, it works, right? So that's the hard part about people realizing that they do probably need a systems coach or a strategist to come in and say, here's what we do. Can you make us more efficient? It's not that they weren't making money. They were a successful company. But there's a difference. You can systemize things and make it much more efficient. And that's what I'm able to help companies with.
Nice.
And I'm a nerd, and I love that kind of thing.
The technology part?
I love the technology part, but I love taking a big complex problem and breaking it down into simple bite-sized steps.
Oh, yeah. So I saw one artist who is specifically hired by companies to draw the outlines of the meetings. It was a brilliant lady. And yeah, so she just attends the meetings and has like this whole wall of Yeah, well, another example of how an artist, a painter, can turn the skills into something very valuable.
Absolutely.
And also, recently I was listening to one guy. I can't remember his name. He teaches ethical marketing, effective ethical marketing. His surname is White. And so in one of his online courses, he said that the product is 10% of work. Marketing is 60% of work. And I think systems is 30% of work. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's probably true, because you can create a product, but if you don't go out and tell people about your product, then no one's going to buy it. I mean, no one knows about it. And the internet is huge, right? I mean, there's a lot of people out there and a lot of websites being built every day, and it's very noisy. So I do think that marketing is really important. And I believe that relationships play a big part in that, because people do business with people. So, and that's coming full circle. Used to, we went to the local butcher because it was our uncle, and we all talked around the water cooler. We had relationships. And now that we've gotten so busy in our lives, etc., and a lot of people doing business online, but the truth is that it still needs to be somewhat taken offline. People do business with people. So I think that's key. And that's a big part of marketing, is relationship networking, relationship marketing. And I'm big into systems. So, of course, I think you have to have a system for putting it together, making it happen, making that marketing plan come together, and building those relationships.
Let it work without you so that you can work on something else.
That's right.
So, Sheila, what are your favorite books that you really helped you out in the beginning, or now that you're reading now?
Oh gosh, I am an avid reader. I read so many books, but I will say one of the books that stuck with me when I first started out was The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. I think that's a great book, and he talks about the importance of systemizing your business and setting it up sort of like a franchise. Not that it's really a franchise, but if you haven't read that book and you're really wanting to organize your business, I think that's a great read. I love the book Good to Great. I read a lot of books on strategy. I read a lot of books on productivity. Right now, let's see, I have a book sitting right over there, Make Your Brain Work. I read all the time, so I love taking that knowledge base that someone else has and just applying it to what I do and using that with my clients. I think that's important, because I don't have all the answers, and there are smarter ways to do things and no reason to reinvent the wheel. So I take a lot from books.
Cool. So the first book you mentioned, is it specifically for people who have businesses that are, I don't know, on a certain level? Or is it okay for anybody to read?
No, I think it's okay for anybody. I think it's a great book for even someone just starting out. So it's a great book if you've been in business for a while and your business maybe isn't reaching the levels that you want it. But it's a terrific book for someone just starting out that says, okay, what am I? Am I a doer? Am I a learner? Am I an entrepreneur? Am I a technician? I think he talks about all those different types of terms, and how to structure your business from the beginning and create it so that you can work on your business later instead of in it. So a lot of people create a business because they have a talent. And then I think the example he uses a lot in the book is this lady that makes pies. And I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but she's a great pie maker. And everybody says, ooh, you need to go out and start a business of making pies. And she did. But then all she did was make pies, so she wasn't happy anymore. So she had to learn how to delegate, how to set up systems in her business, so she wasn't just the pie maker. She was creating the work around all the pies being made. So it's working on your business, growing that business, the strategy of it. But if you're always working in it, you can't work on it. So that's a great way to look at that book. So that book's really good for that. And I will say that I work with clients every day that make money in spite of themselves, love them dearly, but they make money in spite of themselves. And they have to go back to learn those same steps that you learn in this book, which is you need processes for things. And so it works for them as well.
Well, thank you so much, Sheila. It was great. I love it so much. And and I can't wait to share it with everybody.
Well, thank you. I so appreciate you asking me to chat with you today. I love talking with smart people, and if we can make the difference, if we can help one people, influence one person, we've made a big difference. We're changing the world.
That's right, we're changing the world, Sheila. If you would like to participate, please leave a comment below the video. That was the interview with Shelia Butler from Successful Women Talk. Make sure to check Sheila's website at www.successfulwomentalk.com. Like this interview if you liked it and share it with your friends. Have a great day.